to Channel Japan. I'm Mai Demizu.
And I'm Makiko Tsuda.
Every week, we bring you the freshest information out of Japan from our studio here in Tokyo.
From the economy to culture and even foods, if you want to find out what's happening in Japan right now, this is where you'll find it.
And these are topics for today. As always, we have some interesting stories to share with you. Well, let's get started, Utsuda-san. First up is Executive Insight. What's the topic today?
Yes, this time we'll be hearing from Ace Cook, which is a maker of instant noodles and soups. Now, in Japan, the instant noodle industry is dominated by 5 major firms, which together have a 90% market share. And competition is obviously fierce, and Ace Cook is ranked 5th overall. Now, I have a number over here, 5.47 billion. What do you think this represents?
Sales? Revenue?
Well, it's actually the number of instant noodles produced every year, and which means it's about 43 packages of noodles per person.
43. Well, that means eating 1 package of noodle per week.
That's about right, isn't it? And they're always handy when you're feeling a bit hungry. Plus, they're a good source of emergency food because they keep well. Plus, you only need a little bit of hot water.
Right, I agree. But how's the demand like outside Japan?
Outside Japan, it's said that over 100 billion packages of instant noodles are sold around the world every year. And by country, we have a chart over here. The top markets, as you can see, is China, Indonesia, and then followed by Japan.
I see. Well, looking at the chart, well, China is by far the biggest consumer.
It certainly is.
And other countries seem to be at the same level, but Asia seems to be the main market.
Yes, that definitely is the main market, and they're the biggest drivers of instant noodle sales, and that's why many Japanese makers are expanding into the region, especially into countries such as Vietnam, India, and Thailand. Plus, recently they've also started moving into the African continent, such as Kenya and Nigeria.
Well, Ace Cook, one of them?
Yes, they are. And the company actually entered the Vietnamese market over 20 years ago, and since then has been quite aggressive in the Asian region. And this time we had a chance to speak with the president, Hiroshi Muraoka, about their strategy to continue growing the business internationally. So take a look.
Executive Insight. Add hot water, wait 3 minutes, and it's ready. Cup-type instant noodles invented in Japan come in a variety of types and flavors. The top company by market share is Nissin, known for its cup noodle. Inside are freeze-dried noodles and ingredients. Hot water is poured in directly. It's the industry standard. The second biggest maker is Toyo Suisan. Known for the Maruchan brand, they offer a wide range of products, including udon and soba noodles. And then there's Ace Cook, ranked 5th by market share. In contrast to the industry leaders, they have steadily clawed up the rankings with unconventional offerings. Greeting us at company headquarters is the second-generation president, Hiroshi Muraoka.
How many types of new products do you have on the market?
New products come and go. It's not really an ideal situation, but we put out several every Monday. Annually, it comes up to about 100 types. If you go to a supermarket or convenience store, you'll see that new products come out one after another. So in a sense, the cup-type noodle market is constantly being stimulated, and volumes are significant. Despite people saying the food market is saturated, our industry hasn't shrunk that much.
This is a supermarket in central Tokyo. In the instant noodle section, there's a steady stream of customers. We asked a sales assistant about the top products.
Cup noodle is the top seller.
It appears to be a standard choice of customers. There are also other fast-selling products.
Super Cup is selling well.
Younger customers.
This is Ace Cook's signature product, Super Cup. Launched 25 years ago, it has remained one of the company's top sellers. The size is said to be the reason for its popularity among younger consumers. Prominently displayed on the package are the words 1.5 times more noodles.
Why do you use the phrase 1.5 times?
At the time when we were developing the product, a popular concept was something called the square root of 2. If the difference is greater than that, people take notice. We thought 1.5 times would make people notice not only the bigger size, but also the difference with others.
The square root of 2 equals 1.41. A number higher than that is said to make people believe that the size is especially big. For example, when comparing a product marketed as extra large to one sold as being 1.5 times bigger, consumers will tend to reach for the latter. Ace Cook says it recognized an aspect of human psychology that was overlooked by rivals.
Were there also other factors such as manufacturing technologies and expertise in being able to commercialize this product?
Product development can be carried out in many different ways. Super Cup was developed by first understanding customer demands and then making the product. Some of our younger employees thought it was still too small. It may seem like a minor issue, but we wanted to fully explore the demands of consumers.
Mr. Muraoka was actually in charge of marketing when Super Cup was originally launched 25 years ago. At the time, he says he faced resistance from colleagues in increasing the size beyond what was considered the standard.
It must have been very difficult in the beginning.
I had a very hard time convincing others in the company. They said it would never sell. The cost was higher. The price was higher. Why would people buy it? Supermarkets even refused to carry it.
So Mr. Muraoka turned his sights to another channel of distribution that was starting to expand rapidly: convenience stores.
I was convinced that convenience stores were perfect for our customers. So we put the product out there from the beginning, and it became a big hit.
Later, supermarkets also began carrying the product, which became hugely popular and helped increase company revenue that year by 30%. Since then, it has continued to be a cash generator for the company. Kawagoe, Saitama Prefecture, Ace Cook's main factory. 660,000 cups of noodles are churned out here every day. They showed us their unique manufacturing method. Typically, instant noodles are made from single sheets of flour mixture. But the company puts those sheets through another process.
There are 2 sheets.
What's the reason for combining 2 sheets?
That way, we can create noodles that have a firmer texture.
By combining 2 sheets of dough, the noodles gain a firmer texture and are said to be more satisfying.
We put each sheet through 7 rollers to make them thinner and stretch them out.
What's more, the condition of the noodles changes depending on the weather. Since the thickness of the noodles can be affected, they need to constantly fine-tune the process.
We measure the thickness every 15 to 30 minutes. It changes depending on the mixing process. So we make adjustments every time to ensure the thickness meets our standards.
Ace Cook was established in 1954. It was originally a manufacturer of bread. Later, they began making biscuits and eventually turned their focus to instant noodles. Mr. Muraoka says it's important to evolve with the times and continually take on new challenges.
Noodle volumes aren't likely to increase that much, but there'll be other demands. For example, health. Consumers might want less salt or fewer calories. There are various needs. We want to put out healthy foods that are different from rivals. In recent years, many people are becoming concerned about excessive sugar consumption. We need to offer instant noodles that meet these needs. That's also the mission we've been given. The key to doing this is really basic research.
Mr. Muraoka's latest proposal is this: vermicelli-type soup noodles made from vegetable starch. With consumers becoming more health conscious, they decided to use starch instead of wheat for noodles. The lower calorie content has made the product a hit, especially among those watching their waistlines. 650 million of them have been sold so far.
From now on, noodles can also be a low-calorie food. We can give them a slightly different type of nutrition or a different texture, something that's not just tasty to eat. This is really about research. That's why we believe that research into ingredients, technological R&D, will become one of the growth engines for the domestic instant noodle market.
Mr. Muraoka says his next challenge is Asia and expanding the company's offerings in the region.
Demand for instant noodles is especially strong in places where there are lots of young people with good appetites. I believe that market is huge overseas.
In Vietnam, the company has established itself as the top player in the instant noodle market. A product targeting the dietary habits of local people and gaining market share is Hao Hao. In fact, 1.7 billion packages are sold every year. This product alone has cornered a third of the instant noodle market in Vietnam.
What's different from products sold in Japan?
I've heard that some people in Japan thought it tasted a bit sour, but people in Vietnam didn't think so.
Do ideas need to be developed by people on the ground?
We provide product development know-how, but the actual production is done by local people.
In fact, the company provides only its expertise in product development. The taste is entrusted to staff in Vietnam. Mr. Muraoka says respecting local food culture is the quickest way to expand in a market.
Instant noodles are suited for overseas markets as well. What I mean is, many things have been developed in Japan, especially quality control technology. I think it's extremely advanced, so we can export that directly. Food itself is local. How well you're able to give it a local touch depends on an understanding of local tastes and preferences. It's by incorporating them that you create local food.
Understanding what consumers want. Through this idea, the company continues to serve up new products on dinner tables around the world.
Az én álmaim autója, amit lerajzoltam, egy nagyon környezetvédő autó. Milyen jó lenne, ha sikerülne a megálmodott házamba költöznöm, ahol tudok kísérletezni és állatokat megfigyelni.
Mitsubishi Electric is helping to change the environment for the better around the world.
Green subway systems in India.
Green solar power systems in Singapore.
Sistem AC ramah lingkungan di Indonesia.
Eco changes for a greener tomorrow. Mitsubishi Electric.
Asia, the engine of the global economy. Japan, a regional powerhouse. And now, direct from Japan, economic news with a global impact in Chinese, delivered by Nikkei. Read the future, lead the economy. Nikkei, Japan's leading media for business.
You're watching Channel Japan. Up next, we'll bring you an episode from TV Tokyo's World Business Satellite. So what's the topic today?
Yes, this time we take a look at new technologies for the early detection of diseases. Now, if you can take a look over here, the biggest cause of death in Japan is cancer, which kills about 360,000 people every year, and that's followed by heart disease and pneumonia, and this ranking hasn't changed for the past 3 years.
Really, so many people die of cancer.
Exactly. And in Japan, there are about 1.2 million deaths every year, and about a third is attributed to cancer.
So what can be done to reduce cancer-related mortality?
Well, early detection is considered one effective method, and it's said that over half of people with cancer in advanced stages have no hope of it being cured. But on the other hand, those who have cancers that are detected early have a close to 100% chance of survival. And unfortunately, since there aren't any outward symptoms, the onset of the disease is often overlooked, and that's why checkups are critical.
So that means getting regular checkup is very important.
Yes, exactly. And regular checkups are a must, but there are cases when doctors fail to detect the disease early on. And the company that we'll be introducing today has developed a method to detect cancer risk by simply drawing blood. So take a look.
They found 2 malignant breast cancer tumours of 6 millimetres and 1 millimetre in size.
Shown on the MRI are 2 tumors. This 66-year-old resident of Chiba Prefecture was diagnosed with cancer. But through early detection and surgery, she has been able to return to her normal life without the need for anti-cancer drugs. She learned that she had cancer by taking a simple blood test called amino index, which determines a person's risk of getting the disease. The method involves analyzing amino acids in blood.
These are the test results of the amino index.
The document detailing the results include 5 test areas, including the stomach and lungs, with the risk level indicated by the letters A, B, and C. The mammary gland section shows a C, meaning a closer examination is necessary.
You can find out about all these areas with just a blood test. That's why I went in for a more detailed checkup.
This method of assessing cancer risk through blood was commercialized 3 years ago by Ajinomoto.
Right now, she's taking out samples of human blood, frozen at minus 80 degrees Celsius. She will then start an experiment to analyze the amino acids. That's the plasma. There are dozens of amino acids in there.
Human blood is said to contain about 20 different types of amino acids. The concentration of each is measured by this machine, which was developed in-house. The results are shown on the display.
On the right are the types of amino acids. On this side, what the level is. The bigger the mountain, the higher the concentration.
During the development stage, the company collected blood from 20,000 healthy people and cancer patients to check the differences in amino acid levels.
As you can see, the levels of 20 types of amino acids are shown. This grey circle is the amino acid pattern of healthy people. The pattern for cancer patients is irregular, like this.
Stomach cancer patients, for example, have lower levels of the amino acids, tryptophan and histidine than healthy people. Breast cancer patients, on the other hand, have high concentrations of proline and glycine. The more irregular the shape, the higher the risk. Cancer has been called the people's disease in Japan, but those who actually undergo screenings are said to be between 20 and 30%. Working to expand this testing method is Dr. Minoru Yamakado of the Mitsui Memorial Hospital.
The cancer detection rate of the amino index is double that of a full medical checkup.
The doctor himself had actually been getting annual screenings for colon cancer.
For colon cancer, they check for blood in 2 stool samples, and if it's negative, then cancer risk is seen as low. So I haven't had to go through an endoscopic exam. This test showed that I got a C for colon cancer risk. So I immediately went for further checkups. This is it.
A polyp 12 millimeters in diameter was found and removed.
Cancer.
Because the new method helps improve the accuracy of early detection, it is said to minimize costs such as those for surgery and reduce the burden on the national health system.
Tests now are like blind searches for cancer. With this, only those with results indicating risk get thorough checkups. So it's significant medically and economically. The rate of people getting full medicals will be reduced.
This screening is currently not covered by the National Health Insurance Scheme and costs about $190. But in Nanbu Township, Tottori Prefecture, the expense is just $10 due to subsidies from the local government. Other regions such as Niigata and Kumamoto prefectures are also planning to shoulder part of the costs starting this fiscal year. Human Metabolome Technologies, or HMT, went public on the Mother's Board of the Tokyo Stock Exchange in December last year. The company is engaged in the research of metabolites, of which 3,000 types are said to exist in human cells. They analyze these molecules for pharmaceutical and food makers. This biotechnology venture is now working on a blood test to detect a certain disease.
We've identified the necessary elements to diagnose depression. We're now working on measuring them quickly and at low cost.
Depression has emerged as a major social problem with a sharp rise in patients in recent years. Diagnosis is mostly through doctor-patient consultations. Based in Tsuruoka, Yamagata Prefecture, HMT developed the world's first metabolome analysis method that may change the way depression is diagnosed, an area where there are few biological alternatives.
We use this machine to analyze metabolites contained in various biological samples, such as cancer cells, plants, and yogurt.
The company says it compared the blood of healthy people and depressives to identify the metabolite that causes the condition. Ethanolamine phosphate, or EAP. They say checking the concentration of this metabolite allows them to determine if a person suffers from depression or has a risk of becoming affected.
The higher peaks are those who don't suffer from depression. The lower ones are depressive. It's the area. We look at the difference.
Those with taller peaks and bigger areas have high levels of EAP. They believe that as EAP levels fall, the possibility of depression rises. The company is aiming to commercialize this biological testing method within 5 years.
It is said 300 million people around the world suffer from depression. If we can get them to use this method, then our sample base will increase. The age of treatment will soon end and be replaced by prevention, which costs significantly less. The market is vast.
I imagine demand for this kind of risk assessment service will continue to grow.
Yes, I believe so too. In addition to the methods we saw in the video, there are a number of new services that have been launched in recent years to analyze a person's DNA to determine risks of disease and also their physical condition.
Well, I'm sure those kind of checkups will be useful in not only detecting disease risks, but also in making you realize the importance of looking after your health.
That's true. But again, there are some things to keep in mind because, for example, if the results are bad, they may affect a person emotionally and psychologically. So further discussions are needed on issues like this.
Well, finding out the information is certainly very important and beneficial, but it shouldn't be a burden. Well, next we have another report from WBS.
Yes, we do, and it's about corporate recruitment. Now, with the economy slowly recovering, businesses in Japan have been hiring more people, and if you can take a look over here, it's a graph that shows the ratio of job openings to job hunters, and since last November, the number has continued to exceed 1, which means there are more job openings than job hunters, or in other words, a shortage of workers.
So that seems to be like a good trend. So wouldn't the unemployment rate fall as a result?
It should, but from the standpoint of companies, it reflects the intensifying competition for talent.
So there are actually companies that are hiring but can't find enough people.
That seems to be the case, and this is especially true among small and mid-sized companies, which haven't been able to keep up with the aggressive hiring being carried out by bigger rivals. So today we'll be looking at this report on what SMEs are doing to recruit new employees. So take a look.
Maruyama Machinery Company in Takasaki, Gunma Prefecture.
This is a machine to bundle newspaper ads. There are only 3 companies doing what we do in Japan, and we're one of the oldest.
The company manufactures these machines for newspaper delivery outlets and has 37 employees. Applying their techniques in this specialized field, they are now expanding operations and have been seeking mid-career recruits for design, welding, and sales.
We have no applications for welding and engineering. We don't know how to find people and are struggling.
They say young skilled workers in the prefecture are snapped up by companies in the Ota City area, such as car maker Subaru.
Ota City has many major firms and subcontractors in various fields, such as assembly and electrical engineering, so job hunters all go there.
Maruyama Machinery has posted job ads in local magazines and on employment websites. But due to brisk car sales and other factors, many companies in the Ota City area have begun actively hiring, leading to an outflow of potential recruits. The company also registered on a job site launched last year by Indivol, a subsidiary of Yahoo. The reason? Advertising is free for companies that meet certain conditions.
There are other recruitment media and websites, but they're expensive. So many only go through government employment agencies. If services that focus on SMEs and prefectural firms gain more recognition, then I think the hiring situation for small firms may improve a bit.
As the economy recovers, companies are starting to add workers. Large firms have been especially aggressive compared to smaller rivals. For small and mid-sized companies struggling to fill positions, the situation is worsening. On one Sunday, about 70 job-hunting students were listening to a talk given by a certain man.
We're looking for managers of agricultural businesses. Agricultural managers, not farmers, are the ones who will revive local agriculture. There are places where producers are shrinking, so we want to train people so that they can become independent in 4 years.
Agricultural corporations from Gifu, Kagoshima, Kyoto, and other regions are participating in a recruitment event aimed at college and graduate school students. On this day, the managers appeal directly to the students.
Hearing directly from managers and having small group discussions was a very good opportunity.
I came today to learn about companies that want to revive the Japanese agriculture industry and turn it into a world-class business.
Agricultural corporations are collectively owned and operated by groups of individual farmers. Struggling to find college graduates for sales and accounting positions, agricultural corporations nationwide decided to join hands. Some succeeded in recruiting employees at last year's inaugural event, and this year, more businesses and students participated.
We tend to be overlooked at job fairs held together with the electric or car industries, so I think these kinds of events are effective. Small firms like us get people who couldn't find anything else, and when they find what they're looking for, they leave. It was a bad cycle. Instead, we want to show that we have the right to choose, and students have the same right as well.
Regional governments are also getting involved in helping local companies find recruits. This is Chuo Taxi in Nagano. With 230 employees, they mainly operate large-sized taxis. On this day, the president, Tsukasa Utsunomiya, is visited by Tetsuro Kumagai, the head of a local recruitment agency called Willways. In collaboration with the Nagano Prefectural Office, Willways launched a job website for local firms in February. Mr. Kumagai interviews companies that advertise on their site.
There are many energetic small firms in the prefecture. Some have unique businesses. I wanted to set up a site where people could easily find information about such companies.
Chuo Taxi decided to register on the site to find recruits for a new taxi sightseeing service.
In the early days, our founder and chairman was invited by a major recruitment firm to participate in a big annual job fair in Tokyo. But no one came to our booth. There were so many people there, but no one at our booth. He said he never wanted to go through that embarrassment again.
Until now, the company had done little recruiting outside the prefecture and struggled to attract candidates, so they decided to sign up. Ayaka Seki, who works here, says she too struggled to find information about local firms during her job search.
After the big companies finished their recruitment drive, I could only find information on a handful of firms.
Among students who graduate from high school in Nagano and attend college outside the prefecture, such as in Tokyo, only about 40% return to their hometowns to seek employment. The prefectural government subsidizes the cost to companies posting ads on the site. On this day, Willways meets with local officials.
That's an issue we need to think about. We need to increase company listings at the same time.
The prefecture has also set up a system of awarding technologically advanced local companies. They've asked the site to also promote such businesses.
If technical or engineering students see the technology of small local firms, they'll understand that there are good prospects here. The primary aim is to pull them back. I'm targeting a return rate of 50%. I want to use this as one method.
Whether these efforts will help local firms overcome the labor squeeze remains to be seen.
So collaborating with local governments and counterparts in the same industry is one way to secure talent.
It certainly is, and for companies, finding the right people is expected to become increasingly difficult. And as we have a chart over here, with the shrinking population, the labour force, or the total number of workers plus those looking for work, has shrunk by 900,000 over the recent decade.
So there is a shortage even with the growing number of women entering the workforce and the elderly who are putting off retirement.
Exactly, and in fact between 2012 and 13 there was a slight uptick in the labour force, which was attributed to the growth in female workers, but going forward it'll be becoming extremely difficult to increase the labour force with just women and elderly workers.
I see. So are there any strategies to tackle this issue?
Well, yes, one of the proposals that has been given is to loosen restrictions on foreign workers. And right now the manufacturing and construction industries are permitted to hire non-Japanese workers for up to 3 years, but the government could widen the scope of work that non-Japanese labourers are allowed to do, as well as extend their term of stay.
I see. After the break, we have a report from Nikkei Online Edition about traditional Japanese entertainment.
Sou uma pessoa comum. Eu gosto de apreciar todos os momentos do meu dia. Quanto isso pode me motivar? Como eu posso me manter focada? Tudo ao meu redor, incluindo os momentos do meu dia a dia, é o que eu preciso para me concentrar para a minha luta de 90 minutos. Quero dar esperança às pessoas. A better life, a better world.
Panasonic.
So, what would be the key to success in expanding your business globally?
Cash management?
Knowing the whereabouts of your money at all times, and managing your money speedily and accurately. Which means accelerating your business for better results.
SMBC, Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation.
Sasuke, a new type of sports entertainment program conquering the world.
It's about human achievement and people's passions, and I think that relates to almost everybody.
From Japan to the world, Ninja Warrior, Tokyo Broadcasting System.
You're watching Channel Japan. In our next segment, Project Japan, we have a video report from the Nikkei Online Edition. The topic is about rakugo, a traditional form of entertainment in Japan.
Yes, now we'll be looking at moves to promote Japanese culture overseas through rakugo performed in English. And just to give a quick explanation of what rakugo is, it originated around the end of the 16th century as a way for Buddhist priests to give sermons that were humorous and easy to understand for the common folk.
So it's like comic storytelling.
Exactly, that's a good way of putting it. And the rakugo storyteller sits on the stage and acts out several characters alone, just using hands and body movements, facial expressions, and a tone of voice.
Well, as you mentioned, rakugo will be that we'll be introducing today is in English, but typically rakugo story is about ancient Japan. So would it be difficult for the people abroad to understand them?
Yes, you're right. And one of the aims of these performances purposes is to promote Japanese tradition. So it'll be interesting to see how it's actually done. And the rakugo story we'll be introducing today is titled Tokisoba, which can be translated to time and soba noodles. And just have a soba picture here. It's a traditional Japanese buckwheat noodles in a bowl, and the story is about the humorous interaction between a street vendor and a customer who tries to cheat his way out of the bill of a bowl of soba. So will English rakugo be lost in translation? Take a look.
The Project Japan. A rakugo performance is being held at an international exchange event.
Would you like hot noodles? Hey, soba man, it's very cold today, isn't it? Ah, yes, it's very cold. Can I have a bowl of hot noodle, please? Oh, yes, thank you. Here you are, sir. Oh, thank you very much. That's very quick. I'm short-tempered, so when it's slow, it makes me irritated. Oh, you use new chopsticks. You know, at some other stands, they use old chopsticks, and they are even sometimes wet. Somebody must have used them. That's not good, see? And oh, the bowl is very clean, and there is no crack on the edge. You know, at some other stands, the bowl is very dirty, and there are many cracks on the edge. That's dangerous when we eat, right? This noodle is thin and firm. Well, at other stands, sometimes they serve, you know, thick and soft, and even soggy. Becha becha. Oh, that's not good. This soup is perfect. You know, at other stands, the soup is sometimes too salty or too sweet. This soup is just right. And, this fish cake, chikua, is really thick. Yeah, you know, at other stands, sometimes the fish cake is really thin. And it's hard to find it. Yeah, that's not good. This is real fish cake. At other stands, sometimes they use fake fish cake. And it tastes like chewing gum. You know, that's not good. This is great. I'd like to have one more bowl, but today I'm already full, so I'll come again. How much is it? 16 won, please. Oh, today I have only small change, so please give me your hands. Oh, yes. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What time is it? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Goodbye. There was another man who was a little slow in the head, was watching this, and he was thinking about what had happened. That guy. He said only good things about everything. The noodle was quickly served, and the chopsticks are new, and the bowl is clean, and there is no crack on the edge, and the noodle is thin and firm, and the soup is perfect, and the fish cake is so thick. With all those compliments, I thought he was going to ask for a discount, or he was going to run away without paying money. But he paid. And he paid all in small change. Why? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What time is it? 9, 10, 11, 12. Why did he ask the time after counting up to 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What time is it? 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What time is it? 9, 10. When you count 10, this little finger should rise up, not this ring finger. I see. So he cheated 1 won. Oh, what a smart trick. That soba seller will never notice this trick for good. I'd like to do the same thing today, but today I don't have enough change, so I'll do it tomorrow. So the next day, he collected enough change and went out to a different soba seller.
This is my first time to see that performance. They're very nice. It's a kind of art for entertain the people, but at the same time I can feel the Japanese culture here. The way of the man who wearing the shirt, the performer wearing the clothes of the performer, the way he used the tool like a fan and also like I don't know how to say, the handkerchief, yeah, and how to use this one and the way that he sew, very soft and very way. This is a Japanese culture.
I can understand Japanese culture and Japanese life. Some of culture is the same my country.
And I'm very impressed to see such kind of performance. Even though in Cambodia we have many Japanese people, but we never seen such kind of activity.
The Rakugo was performed by Tatsuya Sudo, who teaches English at universities and schools. 30 years ago, he became an apprentice of a Rakugo master. Now he gives English Rakugo performances for cultural exchange groups and at schools.
I'm taking off. I'm going very high. Oh, looks like the end for me.
In 2007, he opened a school to teach English Rakugo. This is one of his students. Mr. Sudo explains each aspect in detail, from speaking techniques to draw in the audience, to the sitting position and how to use props, such as fans and handkerchiefs, for maximum effect. His students include office workers, teachers, and retirees.
Hobbies, specialties, and the reason why you want to have a milk.
Look, that's the cat. Can you see? So go for it, Tora. Go!
I don't get a chance to speak English often. I wanted to practice my pronunciation to use my English. I didn't have that much of an interest in Rakugo before, but after coming here, I realized how enjoyable it is.
I was interested in teaching people from overseas about Rakugo, about Japanese humor. I started coming here and realized that it was actually quite fun. I sometimes perform in front of foreign visitors, and they laugh at parts where I want them to, and it makes me happy.
And you know him too? I know him. Who was it? He was
Mr. Sudo says he also wants to let people around the world know about the attractions of Rakugo.
The reason for doing English Rakugo is to promote Japanese culture. Right now, I perform for various groups involved in international cultural exchange in Japan. But in the future, I want to go abroad, to places such as Australia, England, and the US, and promote Japanese culture.
Hi. It's very
Back on stage, the story is reaching its climax. The slow-witted man decides he wants to cheat his way out of the bill using the same trick. So he goes to another soba shop, but it doesn't go as planned.
It doesn't work like yesterday. Can I have a bowl of hot soba noodle, please? Oh, yes, thank you. Is my noodle ready yet? Oh, not yet, sir. I'm boiling water now. Are you still boiling water? Oh, okay. I'm not so short-tempered, so please take your time. Sorry to have kept you waiting, sir. Okay, that was so slow, huh? And chopstick, you use old chopsticks, and they are even wet. Oh, that's okay. I'll wipe them off with my kimono. But what's important is not chopsticks, but the bowl, right? And the bowl is very dirty. And there are many cracks on the edge. I have to be careful not to get injured. But it's okay. What's important is not the bowl, but the noodle itself. It's thick and soft and soggy. Becha becha. This is for the sick person to eat. But it's okay. What's more important is soup, right? Okay. It's too salty. Huh? Give me a glass of water. Oh, thank you. And fish cake. Where is it? I've been looking for it, but I can't find it. Are you sure you put it in? Oh, yes. That's very thin slice of fish cake stuck to the bowl, right? Here, how did you cut it? With an ordinary kitchen knife? How skillful you are. I thought you used a carpenter's plane. I can see your face through this. This is fake fish cake. It tastes like chewing gum. Oh. All right, this is enough. Thank you. How much is it? 16 won, please. This part is the same as yesterday. Okay? Are you ready to get paid? What's so funny? Don't bother. Okay? Are you ready to get paid? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What time is it? 4. 4? 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, the audience really seemed to be enjoying the performance. And I guess sense of humor is something that transcends boundaries.
I agree. And the rakugo was first performed in English in the 1980s, and since then more rakugo storytellers have taken up the challenge of entertaining overseas audiences. And today's story was a classic, but there are more funny stories that deal with more modern topics.
Really?
And a number of events have been held abroad helping to promote Japanese culture.
And I was also impressed by the efforts of the Japanese apprentices to learn how to perform rakugo in English.
They really seemed to be enjoying themselves. It was funny. And some said they were actually doing it to learn English, which I thought was an interesting way to learn a language. And we have a chart over here that shows the growth of the language learning business in Japan. And according to a private research firm, the market is estimated to have exceeded $8 billion last year. So it's growing.
Being able to share a sense of humor, I imagine, will be very beneficial in building up relationships. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Channel Japan. We have much more in store for you, so make sure to tune in next week.
Mitsui and Company.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could do this? We make things like this possible through the power of chemistry. We're the Kaiteki Company, Mitsubishi Chemical Holdings.
Channel Japan. Your source for the voices and views of people and businesses across Japan. The latest reports on Japanese companies, culture, and technology. Find out what's happening on the ground. Every week, direct from Tokyo, Channel Japan.